my name is Madeline Michael, or Madeline, and my sister is Madeline. When we had left Eskilstone, Mom and Dad finally got a house. They built a shed because they used to make baskets for livelihood. They sold them in Truro, and then I can remember one time we sold them in Dartmouth, house to house. And then we'd all go back, and we all worked together though. The boys used to go in the woods with Dad to get the right wood. They come home and they learn to pound them, and Mom would shave them to make them nice and thin, and she'd make her all kinds of hampers, potato baskets, fishing baskets, and then then Easter time they would cut the splints. They were thinner, and she'd color them with this dye, all colored. They'd be so beautiful. My father will tell me, "Amish bad dewadio, go with it, Dad. Kadu waiji na, kadoodlim, kaju not go away, not off then." So I tell those my sisters and brothers, "You go out, Amish bad, we gotta go play." All right, so go out and play, and in the meantime, it's time for supper.
That's when I used to come in.
Yeah, because she was about to go in and cook, and
my mother used to tell me, she said, "Well, do us cook something for us." Because they'd be out there in the front room making their baskets. And so that's what, she said, "Hey, Lou's going to get news, I'll pass you away." I said, "All right." So, there's quite a few kids around, so you don't make a little one, you make a big one. And the pot is always full, because we had, 12, 13, 14 of us eating in this one big pot. So we had to stretch it. And we didn't have no, they said, "Eat a lot of bread." That's what they tell us, eh? That way you could get filled faster. So
yeah, we stretch what we could. But Mom and Dad, though, everything they say in Mi'kmaq, then they tell us, "Alusa Damadik." We have to say prayers even. Everything they said is what's in Mi'kmaq. If some go in, they had to get someone go up the road and get water, laundry day. That was a long hike.
That's from like Terry Ducks to where Nina lives now. That's where we had lug water. So, we had to make it really stretch. Some days there's really slippery out there, And I went down a couple times, so I had to go back up again, go back up the road again to get some more water. Because that's what the water was really, really, sacred today, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, I don't think we even rinsed our clothes.
I don't think so, no.
Because
outside.
We use washboard. And there's 10 of you guys, there are like 10 kids. Oh, that's a lot of wash.
We, after losing, we got used to saying a lot of words in front of Mom and Dad. We'd all speak, spoke it, but as the years went on, my father would try to speak English more, because he knew we were losing it. So he tried real hard to use English too, But when him and Mom and Dad were, we're sandybagging, listening to them, we caught on what they were saying. But, and they knew if you were listening, do it, go out.
I know there's one time Mom and Dad were talking to somebody, and they said, we wanted to go down my grandmother's, and she lived down Hollywood where Tricia lives now. There used to be a big house there. And I told Mom and Dad, I said, "Can we go out, go down Grams?" And they were busy talking to this person. They said, "Nugulea." That means go away. So we went down, but we paid for it when we got back. I thought they were talking to us, but they were talking to the other people. So we all took off and down Grams. Oh yeah, we paid for that one.
Yeah, I think we ran away.
Yeah.
Sounded good to us anyway. Oh, we're allowed. Oh, good, let's go. Because we pretty were allowed to stay home because the other kids were kind of making fun of our Mi'kmaq, eh? Oh, you guys talking too funny. Oh, you guys talking French. We didn't know it was Mi'kmaq. Nobody told us, you know. Just the way we were, we just spoke Mi'kmaq, and you know, we got
That's
to learn.
probably why today we're having a hard time speaking it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, people make fun about you like that, you know. I know you shouldn't be ashamed of talking Mi'kmaq, but it's hard.
But when we were young and all that, you know, we had to face it. We faced it right on, and it kept us strong at home. So that's at home. Now to us to go to school, then we had to try really speak English, and it was all broken English, and that would make them laugh at us more. So
Yeah.
it wasn't very easy to live that way. It's you know, even today I can like I say, I'd only speak to the elders, and that's it.
Nina Delwisi, Rosemary Nevin. And my name is Rosemary Nevin, I just said. So, one time ago, and bisqualim ka hospital, ang chiganam kan kwejis. Is no diego na tuberculosis, TB, na ili medium. A score mega ma. Pues madeji ebelo yajin do gobninen. Pas ang chiganam na wajin pag banan leji jo, chiganam mo na TB. Anucha. Nepkabani. Afnani mudeji ebelo yksnuwa pas na 6 months mudi ega hospital. Ahora cheese mugisil dawa gabal badami to room. Ba gure glass it to mudi separate room gure nige. Akistu idaris nem pas back to de wuji idaya kujimuk. Muasid be asdel muksibe gabal bal dane waish. To guys room kodan de to me imagine mudi bendi. What I have just said, we landed in the hospital when we were little. I was about 5 years old, and my brother was about a year old. But my sister Leona was taken to a different hospital because she had tuberculosis. No, she had polio. So they tell us, but we don't know if she did really have polio or a stroke. So that's what we heard later on in the years. But anyway, we were in that hospital, and that's the first time we ever got introduced to English, really. And we didn't know how to speak English at all. We didn't understand the nurses or the doctors. And but anyway, we weren't able to go outside our room to go to different rooms, like there was people in the hospital too, but we weren't allowed to go out. We had our own separate room, more like a glass room. They can see in, but they can I don't know if they could see in, I wasn't sure, but we could see them. But we had our own back door that we could go outside to play, but not for long though. We always went outside for a little while and they make us come back in. But anyway, I had a little brother. His name was Andrew. He passed away. He was about 3 years old, maybe 3-4 years old. He was a little bit older than my brother Vinny, about 2 years old, I would say maybe. But he passed away at the time when we were in the hospital. Yeah, I didn't know this till later because I was too little to know things like that. But that's what happened anyway. And the disease, tuberculosis, I guess was pretty bad at that time. There was no medication for that, and there was nothing to cure it. So, but later on in the years, I guess they did have something for it. But after we got out of the hospital, we used to have to go get needles at like a health center, or and get needles every day, and so we'll keep up with our medication and stuff. But you know, I still couldn't understand the nurses or the doctors what they were saying. Oh my gosh, and they get so frustrated with us because, well, it wasn't our fault because our first language was Mi'kmaq. We didn't speak English at the time, and it was hard to communicate with them. Oh my gosh, it was really hard. The time I went to comb my hair, and she didn't know what I was talking about, so we had to go more like a hand gesture and, you know, kind of sign language or whatever, and then kind of fit in somewhere, but this is what happened.
My name is Doug Knockwood, and I'm Emo Elder from Indian Brook. I didn't live here all my life because I was born and brought up a place called Newell Lake in Cumberland County, which runs between Priorsville and Spring Hill. My granddad was a blind man, and he never experienced our features, but he always found us. When we sit on his knee, he'd rub his hand over our head and around our face. And he would always say, "Ugosamux in Naguis," in Mi'kmaq. And what it was here in English was, "You're a beautiful young man, young boy." And so I started off in a positive manner, positive way. My mom loved me very much. She loved all of us. There were three of us, Ralph, myself, and my sister Eddie. And we were born in Spring Hill, and we lived in the New Lake area until we were taken away to the residential school. There are many things that happen in Newell Lake for us in growing up. When we were taken to the residential school, they took Ralph a year or so before myself, because we used to have to take Granddad shopping or begging, door to door. He was a blind man, he couldn't see, so we led him, and he had a piece of paper that said, "The bearer of this card is blind. A Mi'kmaq is a Mi'kmaq from Newell Lake, and is unable to provide for his family. Any assistance you may render would be greatly appreciated." And he would walk up to the door, knock on the door, and show the paper, and some places they threw the paper on the ground. And I guess I'd get out of here. We did that until I was almost a teenager. And, you know, he was an amazing man. He walked from Maccan to Newell Lake, which was 18 miles. And that's before the pavements came in. And when the pavements came in, it was much easier for him because he would drag his cane along the edge of the pavement. And, you know, I guess I learned a lot of the things of survival in the fittest. And I had an Uncle John that never ever spoke English. And my dad, who was a lawyer, even though he didn't go to law school. He went to the St. Pat's Home for Boys, and that's where my grandma took him and just forgot about him, never went back after him. And he stayed there till he was 16 years old. And then he came out and he was in the war he was in the army for the First World War. And he didn't get overseas, get sick, and came to a place in Spring Hill Junction and met my mom. My mom couldn't speak English, and he couldn't speak Mi'kmaq. But they get married, and the family consisted of Frank, who passed away after birth, and then Ralph, and then myself, and Sister Evelyn was the last one. So there was 3 in our family. And when the residential school started to force our children to go there, Ralph was vulnerable because he was on the road with Granddad. And they took him right off the road and left Granddad out in the street somewhere. And they couldn't see a thing. To me, when I went to the residential school, we weren't allowed to talk. And we didn't have that until we came home. Of course, it was spoken in the home, and we had difficulty learning it all over again. But one of the things that we had going for us is they never stopped talking Mi'kmaq at home. Granddad never spoke English. Mom never spoke English. My Uncle John lived in the bush all his life. He never spoke English. He never knew how to speak. He never knew how to communicate. You know, I urge the young people, let us get back to the basics of our own language. You know, I noticed, I don't do it teasingly, but I always, when I go get my gas, there's only one person there that speaks Mi'kmaq, and that's Russell. And of course, you know, when him and I, that's all you hear is Mi'kmaq talked in that short time. And then the young people come in, and I'll say, "What you want, do?" And then they look at me like I got 4 eyes, because they didn't know what I said. And I say, "You don't understand Mi'kmaq." They say, "Nope, nope." That's it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. But it's so important. You know, if we lose that language, we're losing ourselves. And you know, it's difficult to, you know, it's important that it starts out in the school. That way you're building it into the other system to walk side by side.